will grow black, the earth will sink into the sea, the stars will disappear, fire and water will meet, flames will play against the sky, the heavens and earth and all the world will be burned, all the gods will be dead, and the warriors of Valhalla and people everywhere. Senua.
Focus on a very simple but accessible melee combat system. So the combat in Absolver is inspired by actual martial arts, and we wanted to create a system that was deep but accessible, and in which players could create their own custom combat choreographies. What we're seeing here is a tutorial map in the game. It's very early stage. The player has not been matchmaked with other players yet. The main part of the game is set in a small open world that is made of a dozen interconnected zones that the players can explore freely, and in which he or she is matchmaked with other players seamlessly. So as you explore the world, you will get to meet other people and build relationships with them. You can make friends, enemies, you can find mentors or students. A variety of relationships exist. And as we see here, sometimes you'll be walking in the world and suddenly somebody else is there. This, however, is a single player tutorial because it's there to teach the player the basic game mechanics. So we wanted to do a combat system that is pretty accessible, so it's easy to pick up and play. It's a 3D real-time combat system, but we added enough layers of depth, as we'll see, to have an actual competitive PvP experience, because the endgame of Absolver is becoming the best Absolver and fighting others like you in PvP. So here we see that the special defense of that character. In Absolver, every player can choose a combat style, and each style has a different special ability. This combat style has the parry ability, so the character is able to parry attacks if he does it in the right timing, which I kind of messed up here, but we'll see it a bit later on. So that's one mechanic. Another, which we saw earlier, is what we call perfect attacks. So when you nail your attacks, your successive attacks in the right timing, the character will flash golden, which makes the attacks chain faster and stun the enemy a bit longer. So that's what we're seeing here. It's really an incentive to be in the flow of combat. Another game mechanic we're seeing here is the feint, which is cancelling the build-up of an attack to trick your opponent into doing a feint. So that's this black ghost we can see at times. So this is especially useful against human opponents. Once you feint, you get into this high-level mind game, kind of tricking your opponent into doing a dodge or a parry, and that allows you to follow up really quickly with another attack while your enemy is recovering. So that's once you kind of get to know the attacks of your opponent, that is something that is very important to tackle. So now we're going to see something that is really the core of Absolver, which is the stances and the combat deck edition. The idea is, in Absolver you have 4 different stances, represented by this diamond. In each stance you have a sequence of up to 3 attacks, which you see on top, an alternative attack, which you see down. The idea is that every stance starts in one stance and goes into another one. So for instance, here we're going to make a sequence of attack that starts front left and that finishes front left. I can go into training mode. I'm going to see that if I chain these moves and I keep attacking, they loop on themselves. But I could go ahead and change that and decide that one stance actually goes to a different stance. Here, my 2 front stances both loop on themselves. But the idea is that any attack always chains smoothly with the attacks that follow. So everything is fluid, everything is dynamic, and the action basically never stops. Same system works with weapons, so the player can pull out weapons as temporary bonuses, and when you take out a weapon, it's just a whole different combat deck that is now accessible to you. Weapons do more damages, but they can be temporarily disarmed. They can bonuses, you can get disarmed, as we just saw here. So pulling a weapon in combat usually gives an advantage to the player, but can also be dangerous if your enemy gets very offensive, disarms you, and picks up your weapon. So now we're going to see another part of the game.
I don't know what's most absurd. The palace. See how quickly and quietly you can find yourself all alone.
What was that noise? Oh, no, a cannibal! Help me find the time! Kill your heart! So you can kill quickly. Hit and run, very good. But how's your stamina toe-to-toe? We're about to find out.
I rushed here when I heard the alarm, not knowing what I would find. Seeing you, I can't believe my good fortune.
Face me like a true warrior. Keep it up! It's weakening!
Je suis là. Papa est là.
Tu n'étais pas là pour moi, papa. Tout est de ta faute. Tu es un raté. Tu n'as pas voulu voir la vérité.
Vous voulez m'arrêter, mais vous avez tous échoué.
Il faut que je la trouve avant que quelque chose de terrible lui arrive.
Be my eyes, Senua. This temple resembles a fortress. What has happened?
Get out of my way.
There you are, Medunamon. The next masked one on my list. Now it is my turn to
to tip the balance of Anubis. Better be careful here.
I should go drop these priests in the desert. Let the stand take them.
Ah, a fine bow.
If the people see these dead priests, they will surely revolt.
It is too dangerous. I will pass for now. Guide me, Senu. Betunamon.
Additional thresholds of them to get onto the next kingdom. And just to show off a little bit of the new moves, obviously there's the hat throw. You can make it stay in place, which is sometimes valuable. It can grab things for you. There's two kinds of coins, which we'll talk about it a little later on.
Actually, there in that little dialogue box, we saw Cappy.
Oh, yeah. Cappy is both the red hat that he's wearing and also in his native form, he's a white top hat. And so one other move that's pretty cool is this circular throw, knocks away everything. But let's get down into the city. And as you saw in the trailer, so there's the capture mechanic lets you take over things. It also lets you do fairly exotic things like turn into electricity, travel through wires. So how did the capture mechanic come about?
キャプチャーという仕様を作ったきっかけは何かありましたでしょうか。
そうですね。今作はものすごくいろんな試作っていうものをしてから作っています。
So when we were making this game, what we started out doing was making just a huge amount of different gameplay prototypes.
このキャプチャーというアクションもそのうちの一つです。
And this capture action was just one of those prototypes.
みんなでアイデアを出し合った中に出てきたんですけども、それをそうですね、2、3日ぐらいで作って遊んでみたらものすごく面白かったので、すぐゲームの中心に入れようと決めました。
So, it was just one of the ideas that came up, but we worked on it for 2 or 3 days, and it just instantly turned into something that was really fun, and we decided, well, okay, this should just be the center of this game.
I love how much it encourages that exploration and experimentation that I think the Mario games along these lines are so known for when you think about Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine. Here we've got so much stuff that just looks interesting, and you're wondering, okay, what will happen if I throw my cap at it? You never really know what's going to happen, so you want to try everything just to see.
何でも試してみたくなる仕様ですね。どういう要素があって。
そうですね。いろんなものに帽子を投げたり、試してもらえたらなと思ってます。
Yeah, I definitely hope people, while they're playing this game, they just throw their hat at everything and try all sorts of different things.
Whoops, that was a mistake. Right now, normally, if you were following the story path of the game, you'd be talking to Mayor Pauline, who wants you to recruit musicians. There's one there. But we're going to ignore that right now because there's lots and lots of things to do beyond following the main story of the game. like possess rockets and turn into rockets
and why
with
wouldn't
mustaches.
you do that if you could? Actually, that's an interesting note there. So you mentioned Mayor Pauline, and I think our sharp-eyed viewers will have noticed that some of the street signs are references to some Donkey Kong characters. We've got some interesting red girders going on here. I wonder, Kozuma-san and Monokura-san, if you can tell us a little bit more about this city. It's got some interesting backstory.
やっぱりポリン市長がいて、ニュードンクシティという名前がついてると、なんかもっと何かこの都市について説明していただけますか。
そうですね。名前もそうですし、ポリンってドンキーコングのキャラクターで何かのゲームに関係がありそうですけど、今日はちょっとあまり詳しく言えないんですけど。
So certainly you can tell that Pauline is from Donkey Kong, and the name New Donk City probably leads you to a couple of hints, but we can't get into too much of it today.
And I like the shirt you're wearing, by the way.
That is a snazzy
Good choice
shirt.
today.
お楽しみに。
So please look forward to hearing more about that.
I gotta take the long way.
Oh, good luck. And this is interesting here where we see, I mean, really throughout New Donk City, and I think throughout the world, we've got these really fun playground elements where you're bouncing on things, you're jumping on things, you're swinging. Can you tell our viewers a little bit more about how you came up with that kind of play mechanic in the game?
ぶら下がったりして、飛び跳ねたりして、いろんな、環境のものになんか反応させられるんですけど、どういうふうにそういうなんか遊び場っぽい雰囲気を出せるようになんか考え方ありますか。
はい。まずその施策っていうのでものすごくいっぱい遊びを作っています。それをこう配置してステージっていうものを作ります。まず。
So, going back to that prototyping process I was talking about before, we obviously create lots and lots of different ones, lots of different game ideas. And then next what we think about is where to place them within the stage.
そこにそのアートであるとか具体的なものを載せて遊んでみます。
So, we put it in the stage, we like combine it with different art assets, like kind of like real things to see what it might actually look like or work in game, and then try playing it.
そうするともっとこうしたいとかいろんな意見が出てくるので、それをさらにそこに上乗せして作っています。
And then, obviously out of that, like different things come up, like, oh, maybe we could do this a little bit differently, maybe this could actually work like this instead, and then we kind of add that to it, and the process just continues from there.
なので先ほどちょっと出たタクシーなんかをジャンプさせるのもスーパーマリオサンシャインでもちょっと似たような仕様があったので、そういうところからちょっとヒントを得ています。
And so, you saw before, we were able to jump on top of the taxi, and that's something that was sort of in Super Mario Sunshine at times. So in that way, we're also getting hints from past games.
Can I quickly interject that so as I mentioned, the goal right now is to recruit these musicians. When I was first playing this game for a feedback report for the development team, I could not figure out how to get to this guy on the top of this building. You can just barely see him. He's a speck right now in that triangular building. And the way I eventually found to do it was to take a really long fall.
I did that too.
And that worked.
Oh, I feel bad for his knees.
A bit to my surprise. And I wanted to know, when you saw that report from me, what was that a problem to be solved? Was that a cool thing? What was that?
このマリオはNCR の報告書を書いていたときに、こういうふうにトランペットのバンドマンを到着できますよと書いてましたが、それを見てちょっと困っていたんでしょうか。
はい、それは読んだんですけれども、今日ここでプレイするとは思わなかったです。
Yeah, I did read that. I didn't know you were going to be playing that right now.
Troublemaker.
Well, I also know the real way. Or another way.
本当のやり方も分かってます。
でも自分でいろんなプレイの仕方を探してもらえたらと思うんですけども、それもスーパーマリオ64やスーパーマリオサンシャインから続くものだと思います。
But you found your own way to play it, and letting users play around with the game and find their own ways of doing things. That's something that goes way back in 3D Mario, in Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine as well.
So this is actually one of the two kingdoms.
なんでコインで買い物できるようにしたいと思ったんでしょうか。
はい、今回はコインを本当にお金として扱おうと思いました。
So we wanted, coins to be used as coins in this game. Actually, use them as money.
外国に行った時にその国のお金ってすごいなんか印象に。
welcome to some Star Wars Battlefront 2 exclusive multiplayer raw gameplay. In today's video, I'm going to let the game speak for itself. I just want to let you guys know that we are giving away a copy of Star Wars Battlefront 2 on PC, PlayStation 4, or Xbox One. All you have to do to enter the giveaway is comment down below what system you would prefer your copy of Star Wars Battlefront 2. Let me know what point in this video was your favorite. We got some very cool clips showing off some features in the brand new game. And be subscribed to my YouTube channel. We got a bunch of Star Wars Battlefront 2 videos coming your way. And leave a like on this video. That's it. Enjoy the raw Battlefront 2 gameplay.
Crackdown 2, agencies thrust back into action after this large global-scale attack. That attack is tracked back to a new island called New Providence. The agency knows very little about this island. They only know that it's controlled and operated by an organization that calls itself Terra Nova. So the agency comes rocking up. They expect to be the saviors. They come in with that agency-style hubris, and it doesn't quite go the way they expected. So players are released into the city, and your goal is to dismantle Terra Nova in any way you can.
Great, and we're seeing some gameplay on screen here, so talk us through this a little bit. We're seeing these amazing Crackdown weapons that we know and love, this verticality, jumping all over the place. Talk us through this.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is we're fighting over a monorail station. So
So we're now en route to the docks to find Sean and understand why he's fled away from the hospital and probably killed another patient, Harriet Jones. As a vampire, you have access to skills in combat as well as outside of combat, often to help you traverse a semi-open world. The most efficient way to grow stronger is to feed from the healthy, not to fight those risking the flu and pollution in the streets to hunt vampires and skulls. If we were unable to beat this mini-boss, we would be tempted to return to the bar, and perhaps feed from Tom for a greater experience boost, returning stronger, but with London thinning in numbers. Vampire's combat system uses a mix of melee and ranged weapons supported by vampire abilities that allow you to be the vampire you want to be. The gameplay is based on timing, positioning, and management of different resources. The stamina bar regulates your melee moves and dodges, the blood bar controls the use of your supernatural abilities, and the health bar represents your health. There are many areas to explore, loot, and pick up information to learn about the world, its lore, and what happened to London since disease spread. At the beach, we're fighting people operating under the head of the vampire hunter's orders. The Pruin guards are investigating this beach, searching for skulls.
Stay close, keep an eye on each other.
Skulls are a lesser species of vampires lurking in quarantine areas, underground or in dark corners. Due to the Spanish flu epidemic, they have suffered heavy mutations and have recently become very aggressive. It's part of your quest to understand how they became such creatures and ultimately find a cure to save them. In this world, the human vampire hunters and skulls are having their own fight. As long as we don't get too close, we can just move on. Sean is a saint who manages a night asylum to provide food and rest to the poorest. Unfortunately, he has recently turned into a skull. You believe that, incapable of dealing with his new condition, he has fled from the hospital, a sacred ground, and murdered Harriet Jones, an old woman who certainly didn't deserve it. Most importantly, he is the pillar of the dock community, which means he's a very important character whose fate will deeply impact the district and everyone who lives within it.
Are you certain you're not lost, sir? You seem quite a stranger to these parts.
Our exploration, social manipulation, and skills in combat have led us to where Sean has been hiding. We must find out the truth about the hospital's murders, and ultimately decide his fate, and the fate of those who rely on him. Cursed be the choice.
Welcome back, Dr. Reed.
Would you like to take communion with me now?
Sean, are you eating raw flesh?
It is the sacred flesh of the mortal lamb. Our Lord's bountiful transmutation for the sustenance of his believers. Thank you, Lord. I am your most humble servant.
So, true to your word, you waited for my return.
I told you, Dr. Reed, I was a man to be trusted. Did you have words with the poor Harriet?
This shelter is the tip of the iceberg. You hide your game well, I'll give you that.
We are God's children, Dr. Reed, one and all, and he's determined to save us.
Harriet, Miss Jones, has been behaving in a most violent manner. She's going to need special attention.
That's precisely the reason I brought her here. To meet old Bridget. She's the guide Harriet requires.
Harriet is possessed by her hatred. You cannot let her roam free. She's dangerous.
She has joined her own kind, Doctor. Old Bridget is a saint to the younger Scals, guiding them to salvation and peaceful existence.
I believe I've learned all I need to know. I'm certain you've killed no one, but one day I believe you'll cross the line.
Logic is a false prophet. Faith is the only path to salvation.
What do you mean?
We have been blessed with God's eternity. We are the instruments of his divine will. We shall feed the hungry forever and ever. Amen. Give yourself over to God, Doctor. Expel your urges and kneel before the Lord in praise.
These urges. You know the hunger will never be satisfied.
I've come to embrace the everlasting craving. I have sworn to feed only upon the flesh of the dead. It is now my sacrament. Take, eat. This is my body. So saith the Lord.